how attractive do you think potential general managers / head coaches, well, actually not / head coaches. Hopefully they don't make that mistake again and give somebody both general manager and head coach authority. But people that run the organization, how attractive do you think they'll find this job?
So there's kind of two answers here, right? And one of them has to do with that / whatever element that you're just referencing, and we can get into that in a second. But the big picture answer is that it's an attractive job because they're all attractive jobs. I know there's some nitpicking going on about, the Dolphins have their first and second round pick, and the roster has some talent, but hasn't performed up to expectations in a while. But you know what? They have a franchise quarterback, which is not only one of the hardest things to figure out in football, it's one of the hardest things to figure out in all of sports. If you have Deshaun Watson, it's an attractive job. If it is an NFL head coaching job, by the way, it's an attractive job. I think we tend to do this a little bit where we talk about, are there going to be candidates lining up who want to do this? We did this with the Browns a few years ago. Of course there are going to be, because there's only 32 of them. So I think to an extent, they're all good jobs, right? Like there's a lot of guys who want to be NFL head coaches
it's employment.
Right. Exactly. A lot of people right now just want a job.
Right. Yeah.
On top of that, though, if you have Watson, a lot of people are going to want the chance to rebuild that.
And Michael, that can't be overstated. Like, how often does a job come available? Because typically these jobs, Bill O'Brien, what was he, 52-48, won a division a handful of times. Like, he completely screwed up when it came to his transactions. But typically when jobs become available, job one is to find a quarterback. How many times does a 25-year-old superstar who's under contract for the next 5 years, that job, not only is this an attractive job, it is the job. Like, I don't care how many first or second rounders you don't have, you ain't got to go look for a quarterback anytime soon, right, Michael?
Yeah, that's a huge plus for that next coach. And I got to tell you this, Nora and Michael Smith, you want to talk about a dream situation? And Nora, I know you know about this. You got to give us a little more insight on it. The dream is you start a job at a pretty good position, let's say like a mid-level position, and you grow and you're running the organization. Like this whole Jack Easterby thing trips me out. Like Jack Easterby in New England was the team chaplain. He was telling the team the Beatitudes just like a couple years ago. And now he's running the Houston Texans. How did this happen, Nora? This is an unbelievable story, legendary story of Jack Easterby.
It's incredibly strange, right? And I should say right off the top, I've never heard a person in New England say one bad word about Jack Easterby. The players universally adore him, felt that he really helped them sort of go through the stress and all the work that it takes to go through a football season, and was a confidant and someone they really respected and admired and loved working with. But it is a strange career arc. And one thing that I've always found interesting and wondered about was how Easterby has balanced his role, certainly in New England, and I imagine he has similar responsibilities, or at least did in Houston, in terms of connecting with players and being there as someone that they could talk to. How you balance the things that you might learn about someone in those ostensibly privileged conversations as someone who's supposed to be making personnel decisions at the same time. That always seemed a little bit in conflict to me, because at the end of the day, you don't want to be learning things that a player might think they can trust you with and then spinning them off into, oh, well, that's in the back of my mind when I'm thinking about who to cut or what kind of contract to give out. And so not only is his rise just incredibly meteoric and unprecedented, I can't think of a similar situation in the NFL or really any other sport, but it's a little bit strange to me, just given the types of roles that he's filled in the past, being this is away from the competitive side of what we do here roles, and then very much getting into personnel decisions, how are we going to win games, all of that stuff. So while we just talked about why I think that's a great job, and really all of these are great jobs, that's one question that if I were a Texans head coach candidate, I would be really curious. What exactly is this structure? Like, how does this work? Because I don't understand it. And I was around the guy in New England for years. And I think people sort of across the league feel that way. Like, what is going on here? So that would be, if I were interviewing for that job, that would be my first question.
Yep.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.